G'day guys, Graham20 here. Graham here, just responding to herbsnspices1515, Herbie's competition. I've done a bit of a PowerPoint just to make it nice and easy so I don't forget. It's competition best NBA players since 1990 contest, and I'll be talking quick and going through it quickly because there is a lot to get through. But if I'll leave the link to his competition video in the box. Herbie always has great competitions, it's always good fun, and this one especially, it's good fun to put together, so I'll quickly go through them. Okay, so for the Atlanta Hawks, you had to pick the top 2 players for each team. I should give you a quick brief, just in case you haven't seen the video. For the Atlanta Hawks, since 1990, I've selected Dominique Wilkins, human highlight reel, and I've gone with very underrated Josh Smith. Boston Celtics, pretty obvious one there, gone with Larry Bird, and I've actually gone with Paul Pierce there. Being a player, he's always been with the Celtics, just a great player, one of those players you can depend on night in, night out, so he got my next pick there. Brooklyn Nets, obviously haven't been around for very long, so I've got Darren Williams and Joe Johnson. Johnson again. Charlotte Bobcats, I've gone for Gerald Wallace and Emeka Okafor. Charlotte Hornets, wasn't too sure about the order to put these two in, but I put LJ in, Larry Johnson, Grandmama as 1, and I've put Alonzo Mourning at number 2. Both players, probably Larry Johnson was most famous, at least when he was with Charlotte, whereas Alonzo was probably a bit more famous at Miami. Chicago Bulls, no surprise there. MJ gets number 1 spot. And I've actually gone for Derrick Rose for number 2. Would have chosen Pippen, but I think Derrick Rose, MVP, yeah, great player. Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously haven't had a lot of success. I've chosen LeBron at number 1, the best player to ever play for Cleveland. Second player, Mark Price. As far as what they achieved at Cleveland, you'd probably switch them around. The Mavericks, Dirk. Big Dirk, obvious pick there, took him to a championship. And Jason Kidd. Actually, one thing I noticed doing this, when you get 2 good players, your top 2 in the last 2 decades, and when they're on the team at the same time, they tend to win championships. Like, this is a very good point. Both very good players, but won a championship when they're both on the one team clicking. Now the Nuggets, this was a bit of a harder one to pick a player who's actually hung around there for very long. So I've actually put Melo in at number 1, and I've actually got 3 that I've tied for second. I've gone Dikembe Mutombo, great shot blocker. Probably didn't have a lot of aspects to his game, but could block shots, that's for sure. Allen Iverson, obviously probably not mainly known for his Nuggets days, but is an absolute gun player and a legend. And because it's the 90s till present, this one might be a bit controversial. I actually gone with LaFonso Ellis. I've put him in there because a lot of these players didn't hang around, and Ellis once again was mainly known for his Nuggets days. And he was in the top 10 in scoring in about 97, 98 before his injury, so I've stuck him in there. Detroit Pistons. Gone a couple of old school. Obviously Isaiah Thomas, absolute legend, and he's man in crime, or partner in crime I should say, Joe Dumars. Absolute sweet shooter, Joe Dumars. When he was on, the game was over. He could shoot the lights out. Golden State Warriors, I've gone with Chris Mullin for number 1. Obviously recently just been put to the Hall of Fame. Great player, once again a dream teamer. You can't deny him his spot. The next one I've gone with is Chris Webber. Once again, probably not most famous for his Warriors days. And you can see him there putting on his Warriors cap because he actually got drafted, he got traded. He was drafted by Orlando and traded for Penny Hardaway. And probably some other stuff as well, but I often wonder what would have happened if Shaq and Webber had partnered up in the front court, they would have just absolutely dominated. Would have been interesting. Houston Rockets, pretty obvious choice there. Top one in the modern era has got to be Akeem Olajuwon. Probably an undersized centre. I think he's 6'10", still tall, but just an incredible player. Incredible shot blocker, could score, won MVPs, won championships. I mean, did it all. Absolute legend. The other one I've thrown there is Yao Ming. Obviously, had dominant centres over the years, but once again, couldn't bring championships. I'll probably give an honourable mention there to Robert Horry, who won back-to-back with Akeem back in the day, back in the early mid-90s. Indiana Pacers. Now, if any of you guys don't know or don't know too much about this guy, he is an absolute star. Reggie Miller is one of the players who I used to love to hate back in the day because I never went for the Pacers, but he was just phenomenal, absolute phenomenal player, and it shows how good he was, that they were always in the finals, they were always contending and always around about. And as I said, normally if you get two good players in the one era, they make finals and really go well. The next one I've actually picked for the Pacers was in his era, and that was Rick Smits at centre. So you got a good to dominant centre and an incredible shooter, and they just could not get it done. But he carried them so many times and was just, yeah, trash talk legend. LA Clippers. This one, once again, you could probably switch these two around. Gone Blake at number 1, and I'll put Chris Paul at number 2. I'm not sure about the order, but happy with those two at 1 and 2 for the Clippers. They're starting a new era there, and it's all pretty exciting. Lakers, once again, this actually hurt to put it in this order, but weighing it all up, Magic did have a lot of his good years before the 90s, so I've gone with Kobe at 1, Magic at 2. Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies have gone Paul Gasol at 1, and Herbie like this, Sharif Abdul-Rahim as second best player. Both very good players. Teams that never really went anywhere or did too much, but both gun players. Miami Heat. Now this will cause some controversy. No, that's not LaFonso Ellis dunking, because it is number 3 for Miami, but it's Dwayne Wade. I've gone with Dwayne Wade for the number 1 spot for one simple reason. He'd already won a championship there with Shaq, obviously, but he's just it sounds stupid to say because he's just such a superstar, but I almost think he's underrated. Everything's LeBron, but you know, this was D Wade's team. He won a championship with them. I've put in LeBron at number 2. Obviously, an honourable mention there to Bosh. I mean, there's other honourable mentions going into Miami. You could go to Shaq and others. But yeah, I mean, they're a phenomenal team, and they're going to win more championships in the coming years. Milwaukee Bucks. This is a bit of a dark horse one as well. I've gone the big dog, Glenn Robinson, at number 1. Once again, didn't stay around for a hell of a long time, but was mainly known for his Bucks years, I believe anyway. Number 2, Andrew Bogut. Both these guys, number 1 picks, both of them they struggled to hang on to them, or they traded. So, yep, Bucks once again have struggled. Once again, this is modern era, and they haven't done too well in the modern era, so let's move along. Minnesota Timberwolves, couple of Kevins. K-Love, Kevin Love, number 1, obviously. Phenomenal stats, phenomenal player. Just, yep, he's been their best player, I'd say, in the modern era. Closely followed by Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett, probably arguably over the career, is better, but as far as the Timberwolves go, I'm going to go with K-Love. New Orleans Hornets, going with Chris Paul. Once again, a team that hasn't had much success, and Baron Davis at the number 2. New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing, easily the best in the 90s, just carried that team so close to championships but just could never get across the line. And number 2 is obviously more modern era, is Melo. And he's a great player. You saw that in the Olympics especially. He just could step it up, and both great players. To the new and the old. That's probably why they couldn't get it done when Ewing was playing, because they didn't have a really good second player. Oklahoma City Thunder. Once again, this shows that 2 players go close to winning championships. You got Durant, who's an absolute